there's something.
Okay. Is it from the YouTube stream?
Yeah, and I just took that off. So okay,
Cool.
awesome.
Okay, cool. All right. No worries. Good morning.
Hi guys, it is Sunday and 11 a.m. So if you're watching, you've definitely made the right choice. Hi everyone, my name is Adhya Kasamsetty and I am part of the No-Profit organization. The No-Profit is an organization that supports social organizations by providing them with web development services. We work with everyone from after-school clubs to other social groups. And for more information, you can find us at thenoprofit.org. So we all know the very famous phrase, go big or go home. Well, Pragathi Guruprasad definitely went big. Pragathi Guruprasad is an Indian-American playback singer, an actress, and a model. She placed as the season's runner-up of Airtel Super Singer Junior, walking away with the award for Best Classical Singer in 2012 at age 14. She has continued to sing as a playback singer to numerous Tamil movies and is a well-known name. Pragathi has since turned her hand to modeling, having been a part of numbers of modeling projects with prominent clothing and jewelry designers and award-winning international photographers within the South Asian community. And recently, Pragathi did a cameo on Mindy Kaling's new Netflix show, Never Have I Ever, adding another feather to her cap as an actress. In addition to her successful careers, Pragathi has also just graduated from UCLA this year. With a vast array of accomplishments so early on in her life, Pragathi has established herself as a trailblazer and an inspiration for all aspiring singers and young South Asian women across the world. That last sentence was from Wikipedia, and I could not have put it better myself. So let's welcome the amazing Pragathi Guruprasad.
Hi, thank you so much for the warm introduction.
Of course. So hi, thank you so much for coming today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Absolutely. I love what this organization is doing, and I'm really happy to be here as well.
Thank you. Yeah. So, wow, you've certainly done a lot in your life and you're only 22. How does it feel to be the kid that all the other parents compare their kids with?
Absolutely not. I think that's you're speaking very highly of the things that I've done, but it's definitely been kind of a wild ride. I don't think my parents or I or any of us really expected anything to happen. And I think it was more so just my mom wanting to take a chance with the talent that she thought that I had. And that's led to so many incredible opportunities and has really allowed me to find a career in something that I love. And I think it is extremely special to wake up every day and be really excited about going to work. And it's a very special feeling, and I'm so grateful for everything that I've done so far.
Yeah, it's so awesome that you love what you do.
Yes, I really do.
So yeah, so you certainly are very successful, even if you may not think you are as much as I do. And I cannot wait to dive into that today. Yeah. So, it came as a shock to me that you actually used to live here in the Bay Area, where I live. So I would really like to know, before we start, what are some places that you miss about the Bay Area?
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't really say that I miss too much about the Bay Area just because I come back so often. My parents still live there. My grandparents are there as well. I have extended family in the Bay. And although I've lived in so many other places, including Los Angeles and India and travel all over the place, I think whenever I come back to the Bay, I always feel at home. And a part of that is obviously my home and, where I grew up. And I think, there are all these little pockets of the Bay Area that are incredible, right from the outdoors, like the hiking and just the beautiful scenery everywhere, the incredible food, the incredible Indian food that the Bay Area has to offer. I think that's what I always miss when I come back to LA, because growing up there, I expected everywhere in the world to be like that, but it's absolutely not. But I think that if I ever, really do miss anything, it's home and it's being with family.
Yeah. For the Indian food, right? Yeah, the Bay Area has a lot of good Indian food.
Yeah. We are so spoiled.
Yeah. Okay. So I have actually watched parts of your Q&A and other interviews that you have done. So I know many of people have asked these questions already, and you're probably tired of answering. But just for the viewers, I'm just going to bunch these 3 questions together and get them over with. So, what inspired you, I guess, to like start singing, start modeling and acting?
So singing was always a part of the family. My mom sings, my dad sings, my grandparents have always sang. So it was just something that was something that everyone enjoyed doing, and my parents and my grandparents were good at. But it was also always something that stayed a hobby. So my sister began training in classical music, both Carnatic and Hindustani classical music, when she was very young. And the younger siblings always pick up from their older siblings. And so I always used to sing the things that she was learning. And then it was just almost a rite of passage that I would also join, classical classes when I was very young. So it just started something that was a hobby. And both my sister and I competed within the Bay Area when we were younger and kind of around the US. A lot of classical competitions, we started giving concerts and things like that. And it definitely got a little bit more serious, but it was never something that we anticipated turning into a profession. And I think Super Singer was really the space for that. And that was my kind of big break into music, and, figuring out that this is something that, one, I love to do. And, there's so many other genres of music outside of classical music. And, this is something that can actually be a profession. So music was something that absolutely ran in the family. Modeling and acting were two things that just kind of came by chance. And completely out of the blue. I think because I was on Super Singer and like on television for a very long time, the competition lasted about a year. I got a lot of visual, obviously, time on TV, and after that, after I started singing in Tamil movies and South Indian films, I started getting a lot of offers to endorse brands and be in commercials and things like that. So it was a slow start, and then a lot of people started, inviting me to do brand shoots and things like that. It was something that started that I didn't even really realize I was getting into, and then it kind of blew up, and it kept me almost even busier than my music did. And I was like, oh, like, and when people brought it up in interviews and they were like, so now you're a model. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, I guess. I never really considered myself someone who could, be a model. And I still feel like it's a very weird word to associate with myself. But that's been great. And I think acting came very similarly. I was getting a lot of offers in the South Indian film industry to act in films right after I finished Super Singer, and up until now. And it was never something that I was confident that I could do. And I was like, that's so bizarre. Like, why do so many people want me to act in films? And I think moving out to LA and going to college here really helped me train myself in that field to see if it was something that I was capable of doing. And I absolutely loved it.
Awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as you mentioned, like sometimes you don't even think of yourself as a model. So yeah, because it's crazy that you have like three different career paths. Most people just go with one. So that's really cool. But so as of right now, your main kind of career is singing, right? Yeah. So I'd love to know about that a little more. So I was wondering, how did you like pursue the music? Like, you obviously had an interest at a young age, but how did you develop your craft?
Absolutely. I think training, like I said, my family was very involved in classical music. And I had the very unique opportunity to learn not only South Indian classical music, but North Indian as well. And that, I think, that really opened up my training to so many different possibilities. And I was introduced to different, although within classical music, different genres at a very early age. And I believe that really gave me the versatility that I have today. And I think branching out from that into film music, and then I guess like South Indian pop music and mainstream music and all of these different genres, I think that was really the building factor. And I trained for so many years, and gave so many concerts, and still am training in classical music. And I think that's what's really helped ground me and helped become the musician that I am today.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I actually used to go to classical Indian singing class, Carnatic music.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
went for a couple of years. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
so yeah, a lot of people have dreams or interests and they never pursue it. So it's really great to hear that you pursued it and kept going, and it definitely paid off. So yeah, and then you took it to the next level. So I was wondering, how exactly did you take it to the next level? Like, there's probably a whole process to go from singing for fun and going to classes and then going into making it like a career and singing for film. So, how was that entire shift?
Absolutely. I think I was really very lucky because I had a platform like Super Singer, and it was something that really allowed me to break into the industry. My name, my face was well known to so many people around the world because of that show, and all the opportunities I've gotten until now has been because of that show, and people still associate me with that. And I think it's a lot harder when you don't have a stepping stone like that or don't have a big break like that. But I think that's what really opened me up, because I wasn't, when I was a kid, I was always like, oh yeah, I'd love to be a singer, or like I'd love to be an actress or whatever. But it was never something that I was so persistent about. I know a lot of people are like, oh, the day I was born, I knew I would be a doctor or something like that. That was never me. I had no idea where my life was going. I was just doing all these extracurriculars because that's what, I was taught to do. And that's what my sister was doing. And that's what my parents told me to do. And I think the extra push to really show me that, hey, this is what you're good at, and people love your voice and you could be a great musician, was all thanks to the show and the decision my parents took to really make that move, um, which was so non-traditional at the time, going into high school and all of these things. Like, why would you take a year off of school to go do something so bizarre? You never know the end result. And sometimes it's just, I think it was very much that opportunity that kind of catapulted me. And I think my biggest takeaway from that has been like, absolutely take risks in your life, because you don't ever want to look back and be like, hey, why didn't I do that? I could be in a totally different place in my life if I did.
Yeah, I really like that quote. Yeah, and you definitely did take a risk. So as you said, that Super Singer kind of started off career, was like your claim to fame. So what encouraged you to take part in Super Singer? You briefly went over it, but
Yeah, I would not give myself a single bit of credit for that at all, because I didn't want to go. Actually, it was a pretty funny story, because my mom saw the ad that they were accepting auditions, and as a joke, she actually sent in a CD, and she was just like, "I wonder what's going to happen. Like, are they going to listen to my daughter?" Um, and she just sent it in, and all she wanted was for them to get back and say like, "Oh, like she has a nice voice," or whatever, because my mom believed that my talent was beyond just what I was doing. And she wanted affirmation for that, of course. And so she sent it in. We got a response back, and she was like, okay, cool. And then my dad was like, okay, cool. Like, that's good. Like, you got what you wanted. And then my mom, being the person that she is, was like, I think we should like pursue this. And my dad and the rest of my family were like, are you out of your mind? I don't think that's going to happen. And I was not a part of this at all. Um, I was just like, oh, I'm like going to high school. I want to be with my friends. Like, I don't want to do any of this. Like, why on earth would I move to India? That's so bizarre. And nothing really made sense to me at the time. But I think it was really my mom's, kind of dream and her vision to really take me to India and make this happen. And even after, landing there and being on a few episodes of the show, I was like, I don't like this. No one likes me. No one wants to talk to me. Everyone thinks I'm that weird girl from the US. I didn't really know too much about Tamil film music. So everything was just kind of bizarre. It was like too hot. And, there were just so many, so many things, so many hurdles to cross. And I was very unhappy for the first few months. And I was like, why am I doing this? Can I just go back and be with my friends? And slowly, and it started to grow on me very slowly. And I think it was the support that I had from my parents and my family and my mom's kind of dream and vision that really brought me to where I am.
that's awesome. I'm glad you had all that support and your mom like pushing you to.
Oh, definitely. It would be nothing without her.
And you got second place, right?
Yeah.
So congrats. It's
Thank
like
you.
8 years late, but
I know. No, thank you. Yeah. It's crazy when you say 8 years, because it feels like it was yesterday.
so yeah, as you said, a lot of things stemmed from that. So I was wondering, what is like the first outcome of that, or your first opportunity after the Super Singer competition, and how did it go?
Yeah, I was actually very fortunate. I was one of the few contestants. The day after the finals of Super Singer, I got a call from a director and a music director, Bala sir and GB Prakash, who are very big names in the industry and very respected in their fields. and they wanted me to be a part of their film and sing. So that was like my first big playback deal, and it was as soon as the competition ended. So I was very lucky. We were about to leave and move back for me to finish high school, and we actually stayed a few extra months to record the song and wait for the release of the song. So that really was my big break into playback singing, and I've had some beautiful songs since.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
nice. Wait, so you were 14 when you got your first opportunity?
I was 15, yeah. Yeah, I turned 15, yeah, halfway through the show.
That's really cool. I'm gonna be turning 15 soon, and
Oh, cool.
thank you. And I've done nothing of that sort.
Don't even worry about it.
That's really cool. So, you were in high school at the time, right?
Yeah, I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah. So I assume that you had some sort of homeschooling situation or some way that.
Yeah, I took a year off initially, thinking that I would come back and repeat the ninth grade, but I really didn't want to be held back from the rest of my friends. So I actually enrolled in an international school in Chennai when I was in Super Singer, but our schedules were so insane that I could never go. So it ended up being that I came back and repeated the ninth grade, but yeah, so I was like technically enrolled kind of in school.
Okay. Okay, yeah. I get, Super Singer would take a lot of effort, but later on in your career, you did kind of like balance both, right?
Yeah. Throughout, right after I came back and started my freshman year again of high school, it was just a lot of touring, a lot of back and forth between here and India, and that's something that's gone on till today.
Yeah, most kids struggle to just get through high school, but I have no idea how you managed to, get through high school, maintain a career, and get accepted at UCLA. How were you able to balance everything?
I get this question a lot, and I feel like I think it was because I loved singing. I loved being on stage. I loved what I was doing so much. Like I said at the beginning, like I would wake up every day just so excited, excited to do whatever, like go wherever to a new place and sing to a new, um, bunch of people, that it never really felt like work and it never felt difficult. It was a lot of red eye flights. And like now when I think back at it, I'm like, wow, like how did I do that? Why did I do that? And there were so many opportunities for me to cut back, and there were so many opportunities for me to say no and be like, okay, no, I have finals this week, or I have this week. But it just got me so excited, and I loved doing what I was doing over the weekends, that school just seemed to fly by in between. And it was almost like I had to do well in school for me to be able to keep up with this. So it was like an added pressure, like, oh my God, I can't travel or I can't go to India if I don't do well in school. And so I think that's what really motivated me to like keep going. And yeah, even till my very last quarter at UCLA, it's been crazy.
Yeah, it sounds like you worked a lot in high school and college to do everything, and
Yes.
that's dedication. So that's great. But I think our viewers would be very disappointed before I move on if I don't request you to sing at this time. If you could just sing like a line or two from any of your favorite songs, that would be
Sure, yeah. Um, this is one of my favorite playback songs that I've sung. It's from the movie Vanakkam Chennai. It's called Osaka. தேனி காத்தோட தேன தெளிச்சாளே தேளாக என் நெஞ்ச கொட்டி புட்டா தேங்காய் நாராக என் நெஞ்ச உரிச்சாளே உள்ளார என்னன காட்டி புட்டா யகன மொகன பார்க்காம கௌத பாடி எடுக்கேனே తెక్కామేక కేకామా రెక్క గట్టి పరందేనే ఒసక సెత్త ఒసక పోయి మెదగత్తవానెత్తి విట్టు బుట్ట ఒసక సెత్త ఒసక பாவி இதயத்தை காத்தாடி ஆக்கி விட்டா.
Wow, That was really beautiful. Oh my God. It's so cool that you just sang like angelically at the drop of the hat. Like for the viewers, I did not tell her that I was
Thank
sing. That's amazing.
you so much.
And I could actually really tell how much you loved it from your face. You just looked so genuinely like happy while you were singing. So that's yeah, that's it's really great. And I loved hearing you sing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so yeah, so adding on to your singing career, you have recently added acting. So correct me if I'm wrong, but your first acting debut was in Never Have I Ever?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I and a lot of other people are probably wondering, like, how did you get that opportunity? Like, how did you get casted in that role? Because you have been a singer for so long, but and this is the first like acting thing. So how did you, um, you know, go through that? Like,
Yeah. Surprisingly enough, it had nothing to do with anything that I've done before. There was no connection to my singing career, to my modeling career, or anything. But like I said, I had a lot of interest to act in, or got a lot of interest to act in Tamil films ever since I finished Super Singer. And moving out to LA was really gave me the opportunity to enroll in acting classes and kind of figure out what all of this was about, if it was something that I was capable of doing, if it was something I liked doing. And since my sophomore year at UCLA, I enrolled in acting classes and I was able to meet a lot of UCLA grads and friends of friends within the entertainment industry here. And I soon signed to a management company and an agency, and went to a bunch of meetings. And it was just a very, methodical process of meeting everyone, being like, hey, this is what I am, this is what I want to do. And I was very fortunate to sign to an incredible management and agency who have been, putting me out on auditions and so many incredible opportunities. And Never Have I Ever was actually one of my first few auditions and that I booked. And yeah, it was very exciting, I think, for that to be my first step into Hollywood, to be a part of such a revolutionary, series that people are going to watch for years to come, because we're finally seeing people that look like us on mainstream television, and a family that looks like us and speaks the language that we do. And it's everything about it is just so exciting. And Mindy Kaling is incredible. She's a trailblazer and a role model, and it was just amazing to be a part of that.
yes, I absolutely loved Never Have I Ever.
Yay.
Yeah, it's a big step to more South Indian representation in Hollywood and the Western media. So that was really cool. So you mentioned that you signed with an agency before. So at least for me, that process has always kind of been blurry. Like, how do you sign with an agency? Like, were you like, did you have to audition for them, or like gave a resume? Like, what was the entire process before you signed?
Yeah, the process is actually not kind of set in stone. It's different for every person that kind of goes through it. I think the most traditional process is that a lot of the bigger agencies and managements have a application process in which you can just submit your headshots and your resume and your social media and kind of just like all the work that you've done. And then I think periodically when they're looking to onboard people, they look through all of these and I guess like book meetings with people who they are interested in. Thankfully for me, I had a lot of people who were well connected in the industry and kind of found a mentor very early on in the stage who was a friend of a friend, who was a casting director. And he kind of led me through the whole process from day one when I was like, hey, this is my situation. People think that I can act, but I don't think I can act. What do you think I should do? And Joe is a great friend of mine now and has been very helpful through the process and kind of said, you need to go to acting lessons and kind of strengthen your craft before I can introduce you to anyone I know. And once I did do that and I had something that he could see or that he could send out, he was just able to like email blast it out to a bunch of people that he knew. And from that came a lot of people who were very interested in taking meetings. And it was just meeting after meeting after meeting with that. And then the ball was kind of in my court where I was able to decide who I wanted to be with at that point. But I think that whole process, I was just very, very lucky in. And then once I signed to management, my management was able to introduce me to agents. And it was just like kind of like a streamlined process through after that. But it definitely is different for different people. There are like kind of workshops and management workshops where you go in and you audition for a bunch of people, a bunch of managers and agents together, and they scout you from that. Or if they see you on stage and they attend these events, there's so many different ways to get signed to these agencies. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, thank you for clearing that up for me and
Sure,
anyone watching. So you mentioned that you took classes, acting classes before really got into it. I'm actually super interested in acting. So my classes are starting this week in the Bay Area. So yeah, I'm really excited. So,
yeah.
so I'd love to know more about your acting classes. How long did you go to your acting classes? When did you decide you were done, etc.?
I'm still training. I'm still in acting class, and I think it's kind of a never-ending process for anyone. Like even a Brad Pitt or a Angelina Jolie or whoever still have acting teachers on set. So I think it's never something that you really decide to stop doing, because you're constantly honing in on your craft and you're constantly training your acting muscles. It's just it's a sport at the end of the day, and it's something that you constantly need to be on your toes with. And my acting classes, I was able to obviously get a reference list of some of the best studios and most reputable studios, because I feel like entertainment, especially in LA, is very much about word of mouth and people's names, and are you associated with the right people? And there are some coaches and studios within LA and kind of around the US that as soon as you say their name, they're like, oh, you're with them, so we know you're good, kind of thing. So I was able to enroll in that and found a studio I was very comfortable with early on. And because I was also in college at the same time, I took evening classes that were like 7 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. I think twice a week. And so at the time I didn't have a car either, so I would bus to class and back every time. And it was to think about it now, it was crazy. And now obviously everything is on Zoom, so I'm still training, but it's great just being in the room with so many other actors and so many other creative individuals, and just learning from incredible people.
Yeah, that is a really nice way of thinking about it. It's awesome. Yeah. So I can definitely see all the acting lessons in your cameo roll, and I've actually seen it was on IMD. I think it was your acting reel. I don't know if it was yeah. So there was a bunch of clips of you acting, and you're really good, by the way. I just wanted to
thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. So I'm sure you get asked this all the time, but how was it meeting Mindy Kaling?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was totally by surprise. I didn't know she was on set, and we'd taken a few takes of my scene, and we ran through it a few times. The director redid some things, and obviously the dance was going on at the same time in my scene. So we shot the dance a few times, and then suddenly someone taps me on the shoulder and I turn around and it's Mindy Kaling, and I panicked. No one told me she was on set, including Maitri, who's a good friend of mine. And I was like, dude, why didn't you say anything? And she was like, I don't know. I didn't think it was a big deal. And Mindy was so sweet. And, we ran lines together, and it was an incredible experience working with her. She's so nice, and she's so nonchalant. You won't even know that she's there.
That's awesome. She sounds really down to earth and sweet.
She really is. Absolutely.
I would love to meet her. So after your acting debut in her show, I've heard a lot of rumors that you are now planning to go in a bunch of films, or getting offers to be in a lot of Tamil films and Hollywood films. So I don't know. I was wondering if there's any truth to that. Are you planning to really enrich and continue your acting career? And if so, would it be in Tamil movies or Hollywood movies, etc.?
I would love to continue acting. It's something that I've really found an interest in, and something that also makes me very happy. And like you said, it's very rare that one person gets the opportunity to do, multiple things, whether that's singing or modeling or acting. And the fact that I've been given this platform and been connected to some incredible individuals, I would love to keep acting. The South Indian industry has a very, very special place in my heart, and I would love to go back and do movies there and sing there. But right now, I think the focus is definitely on Hollywood and is to, get more roles that I really enjoy myself in, and, work with a lot of creative, really cool people. There's so many cool South Asian creatives out here making films, and I would love to work with more people like that. I definitely do see myself at least 3 or 5 years down the line, or maybe even longer, working in South Indian films, but I don't think that's the plan right now.
Okay, well, I cannot wait to see you more on the screen in Hollywood films. So yeah, so you mentioned that you'll be, for right now at least, you'll be more into the Hollywood scene. So as a South Indian, as we talked about before, we don't have a lot of representation in Hollywood and the Western media. And when we are cast, it is usually in like stereotypical roles with like the whole accent, and you have to be the nerd and all that. So Never Have I Ever was an awesome show for all my friends and I who watched it. It was really cool seeing someone like me who looked like me on TV. So I'm sure, as a South Indian yourself, so far being in the acting industry, you might have had a couple of struggles, or you might anticipate some struggles for later. So yeah, did you have any obstacles so far?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's been a journey. Just wanting to act in Hollywood and wanting to do that. When I started off, I would always wonder, like, I never see myself, I never see anyone who looks like me on TV. So is this even something that I can do? And I think I soon realized that diversity became the big thing in Hollywood. Like, now it's the cool thing. And now if you don't have a diverse cast, like, you're weird. And so it's become like we're almost the it people right now, especially with films like Crazy Rich Asians or Parasite or even Never Have I Ever, or Priyanka Chopra, Mindy Kaling, Aziz Ansari, or Hassan Minaj, like making all of these shows and trying to be that representation for us. I think it's definitely been a struggle because you constantly doubt yourself, and you don't. I've auditioned for so many of those, like nerd friend, or like just characters that have no meat, and you're just kind of in the corner just so that you can fill, like, check the diversity box. um, and I think that it's definitely a start. I think that everything that Mindy Kaling and all of these South Asians are doing are really to work towards more representation for the rest of us. And although there has been so many struggles, and there continue to be, not just for South Asians, but for all people of color and for actors in general, it is very tough to be an actor in LA because every second person you meet wants to be an actor. And so the journey, as a creative, is always difficult because you don't have a fixed salary. You don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow and go to work. And there's so many ifs and buts. But I think that, if you really love what you're doing and you have a good support system, and you know that there's a space for you in the industry, then, there's no looking back.
It's a really nice way of thinking about it. Yeah, I really hope that we'll get all people of color will get more representation as the world progresses, and hopefully that will happen soon.
Yes.
So I wish you best of luck with becoming an actress, and I cannot wait to see you more on TV.
Thank you so much.
Of course. So now we've covered about like 2 of your careers, and your third would be actually modeling, which I'm not surprised. You're stunning.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh.
So far, I was wondering what brands or like magazines have you modeled for?
Oh man, a lot. I think one of my biggest features in a magazine was Kush magazine, which is the biggest South Asian bridal magazine in the UK. That was really fun to do. I flew out to London for a weekend, and I was able to work with some incredible, other creatives, makeup artists, designers, jewelry designers, all kinds of people. That was amazing. I've had a very cool opportunity to work with a lot of US based brands as well, like Kiehl's, Toyota, Daniel Wellington, a lot of other US based brands as well. ColourPop, NYX Cosmetics. And so it's been really fun, and it's really crazy to see yourself in some of these campaigns. And again, like, we're always, looking for representation, and it's very hard to find brown people in mainstream, photo and print, especially for all of these brands. So I'm really glad that I can be one of them.
Awesome. Yeah. I've heard of actually some of those brands, ColourPop and NYX, I think. My mom actually has some of their products. I mean, I don't have any because I buy everything from like the clearance section in Target, but they
Yeah,
are very well, like, they're very big brands. So it's really cool that you model for them.
thank you.
So out of all of these shoots that you've done, I'm sure you've had like a favorite.
That's a good question. I think working with NYX and ColourPop have definitely been some of my favorite experiences because just being on set and seeing so many other people and working with, makeup artists who've worked with some of the biggest names and faces in the industry are definitely very cool.
Mhm. Awesome. That's really cool. Um, that's yeah. So that pretty much covers like all of your careers for right now. We never know. So I'm sure that throughout everything, I'm sorry. I mean, like at a young age, I'm sure you had a lot of struggles because you're doing so many things and you're so young. But it's honestly really inspiring. And but maybe sometimes you even wanted to like give up, I guess, on parts of your career. It's probably definitely been hard. So was there like ever a time you wanted to give up on a part of your career?
Um, I think that again, I've had such a unique opportunity to kind of dip my toes in so many different aspects of entertainment, whether that's music or modeling or, you know, working as a brand ambassador or acting or, whatever it may be, that I feel like I've had a very nice balance of everything, that it's never been too overwhelming in one place for me to be like, I don't like this, I don't want to do this. I felt that when I've been traveling a lot and like forget the day, time, where I am. And I'm just like, why am I doing this? This is insane. And I think even at those times, just looking back at how happy I am and um, how much happiness it brings me to travel and to be able to meet so many people and sing for so many different people. I don't think I've ever been in a position where I'm like, I don't like this. Like, I want to stop doing this.
Mhm. That's really great. A lot of people in their careers go through that, like they feel hopeless, but it's awesome that you found something you love and you love it so much that you don't feel like that.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So adding on to the positive mindset, other than that, I'm sure you have said there have been like struggles overall, and they probably taught you like so many life lessons. But other than all those life lessons, serious moments, I'm sure you've had a lot of fun moments as well. So do you have like any particular moment that you remember, like the most embarrassing or funny moment in your career?
Um, oh man, there's been a lot of those, but I think so many. I've forgotten lyrics on stage, I've fallen on stage,
No.
all sorts of, yeah, everything that can possibly happen has happened. So I think those moments definitely kind of ground you and bring you back to, hey, like I'm a real person too. Like I have feelings and I'm, fall and forget things and all of that as well. And I think it's a good reminder.
Awesome. That sounds really funny and sounds like you're thinking of it in like as a good thing instead of like a failure thing. So that's great. Yeah, so it sounds like the entire process has been filled with a lot of fun moments, struggles, ups and downs, etc. And I'm glad you got through everything because well, look where you are right now. You're a celebrity. How does it feel being a celebrity? Like you said when you were a kid, you never really thought that professional singing was going to be a thing. Did you have like any inkling that you might become a celebrity, like anything like that?
Not at all. Even now, it's a very strange word. Like it's like the word model. Like I don't really consider myself in that space at all. And I think it's really nice. It's nice to have that balance of, I guess, not necessarily feeling like that. And it is definitely great to have, have a voice and be able to influence people and, say things that, you really care about to a large audience and inform people of things that, they should know about and they should care about. And I think it's a very, very powerful powerful place to be in. I've been given a very powerful platform and a very big responsibility. Obviously, it comes with a lot of ups and downs. People assume that your life is perfect. They assume that you're always happy and everything is great, and just like you portray it on social media, and that I get to travel the world and everything is just happy dandy. And I think there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. There's a lot of people behind the scenes. It's not just me that makes everything happen. There's a huge team working behind. And I think a lot of that kind of gets blurred when you're seeing such a glamorous life. And I think my biggest takeaway would be to just consider every person, human. Like I said, it's no one is, unbreakable, and everyone has their feelings, and everyone at the end of the day is just a normal person, no matter how famous you are or whoever you are. Everyone has their struggles. And I think when you're saying something, when you're making a comment, whatever the case may be, is to always put yourself in their shoes. And even if you can't do that, say it out loud and be like, is that something that I would say to a friend of mine? Is that something that I would say to my sister or my brother? And if the answer is no, then you should really not be opening your mouth about it. But we're very quick to judge people, and I think that that's something that gets very overlooked when you're looking at a celebrity's life.
Mhm. I think that's a really nice way of thinking about it. You seem very like down to earth, and I really love that actually.
Thank you.
And it's cool that you want to use your platform to spread messages and all that. So I think that's a beautiful way to use such a big platform.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you mentioned that when you were a kid, you never ever thought that you would become famous or like pursue singing as a full career. Um, I mean, that's cool because usually when you're a kid, you have the highest expectations. Like personally, when I was a kid, I wanted to be like a teacher by day and like a singer pop star by night. And then I realized my parents would never let me go out past 6 p.m. So that wouldn't work out. So it's really cool that you surpassed like little U's expectation. That's a great feeling. So you're famous. You're so famous that actually I don't know if you've seen them, but I've searched up your name on like TikTok or Instagram, and I get like so many fan accounts of you.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of those.
At my school, kids make like fake fan accounts to seem cool or something. It's really weird, but you actually have real fan accounts. Like, I don't know, just how does that feel? To have like
It's
some.
amazing. I think when I was in Super Singer, I was enamored by the number of accounts that there were, but it was obviously supporting someone who was on television at the time. Like it was used to gain votes, and like they were also helpful and supportive. But I think the fact that so many of them have carried on to this day, and 8 years later, and they're still sometimes posting information about myself that I don't even know about. And I was like, where did you get that from? I think it's amazing that I have that kind of love around the world, and it's incredible just to see it every day, and to see, like, I find it hard to post about myself, regularly. I'm like, wow, this is such a big responsibility, but to love someone so much, to keep up with their lives and post about them regularly is beyond even something that I could imagine. And it's very, very special.
Yes, I bet it would be. It's really sweet. Yeah. So yeah, with all these fan accounts and you being a successful singer, an aspiring actress, and a model, you are very, very successful and like an inspiration to others. So usually when someone gets very famous or successful, they get treated differently. Has that been the case with you? Have you ever been like treated differently before and after your success?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I feel like that's something that everybody goes through. I was definitely, obviously, a much younger kid when I was on the show, or when I kind of had my big break, but I definitely saw a difference in a lot of people. And I think, went from having a lot of friends and a lot of people that I knew to a very, very tight circle and very few people that I consider myself very close to. And it always ends up being favors of favors for friends of friends, and hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can you do that for me? And sometimes you're not really in a position to accept that kind of, like, accept as many favors. And a lot of people obviously over the years of their lives do change, and again, like, kind of, it's tough to understand what life is like in this position for anybody. And I don't think I can look at somebody else's life who's has this kind of a following and be like, oh, I'm sure their life is the same, because it's such a different journey for each and every person. So it's definitely sad to see that change in a lot of people, but I think it's really brought me closer to the people that, you know, really do matter to me and have never seen me as a different person.
Yeah. Yeah. Although you do like lose a couple of people, I'm guessing, I think, you know, it kind of tells you like who is your true friend and not.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's really cool that you think of it that way. So speaking of your success in all of your careers, my mom was telling me that when she was growing up, she really only had like two options, engineer or doctor, and she was always like pushed and like encouraged into this STEM field.
Mhm.
And yeah, so like generally, like in the Indian community, especially, there's a very heavy focus on like grades and STEM. And there's just so many stereotypes outside as well that Indians have to be in STEM only, engineers, doctors. It's really weird, but yeah, as since you're very into the arts, I'm sure you know you've had a lot of critics and supporters. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I went to, I'm growing up in the Bay Area. I went to a very STEM heavy school where we didn't really have any arts classes that were serious or legit enough. And even people who went into the arts in college were, you know, considered outliers. And it was very tough going from a high school like I did into an art school, or even, you know, for people to pursue the arts. And it was definitely tough growing up because I was not the science or math girl at all. But I think it was definitely helpful to be pushed in those areas because it constantly taught me that, you know, working hard and being amongst competition who is always better than you will push you harder. And although I was never, you know, the topper of the class, or I was never the person with the best grades or the best ACT scores or SAT scores, it really instills that competitive mindset and that ability that, you know, as cliche as it sounds, if you work hard, you can do anything.
Mhm.
And I think that it was tough. It was tough for sure, but it also took a lot for me to get out of the mindset that I don't have to be in STEM to be successful. And it took a lot from my parents to understand the industry that I'm in. And we're still learning every day. There's so many things that I don't know that my parents don't know about what's going to happen tomorrow or in a month from now or next year. But it's a part of the process. And I think I've been very thankful to my parents for adapting with me, rather than being like, okay, are you going to be an engineer, or are you going to be a doctor? And it was never that conversation, but they always had the conversation with me of, okay, if you're not interested in this, like, let's eliminate this bucket. Like, what else are you interested in? What could you possibly do? And I think my dad was always that person who was like, okay, what's your plan B? What's your plan B? And it really helped me, you know, be specific about UCLA and what I wanted to study there, and, you know, that entertainment might not be the end of it.
Mhm. That's really great, and I'm really glad that your parents were accepting of change and were there for you, and you know adapted as well. You know, for a lot of cases that might not be true for some kids. So it's great that you have those type of
Yeah.
parents. Yeah, and I also I really just admire that you know how you broke out of the stereotype of Indians like only being able to do STEM careers and pursued the arts, and you were very successful. And
Thank
you know,
you.
along that entire journey, I'm sure you obviously have had so many accomplishments. So would you mind sharing with me some of your like favorite or your best accomplishments?
Um, oh man, that's tough. I think obviously getting into playback singing was a big deal for me, and I think singing some incredible songs and working with people that I've always listened to and dreamed of working with. And from there, obviously, came a lot of music in the independent scene, and being able to bridge the gap between being a playback singer and being an independent musician, and working with talent from all over the world to release independent music in the Tamil scene specifically, has been a very big, I think in my books, a very big accomplishment, because that's not something that a lot of people think that they can do. If you're an indie musician, you're an indie musician. If you're a playback singer, you're a playback singer, but there's not too many people that are able to bridge the gap. I'm really glad that my parents, forced me to come back to finish high school, and obviously to go to college here in the U.S. It opened up my world of possibilities to so many things, and I think UCLA was a very big accomplishment for me. And I think graduating from UCLA and kind of deciding that, okay, entertainment is my thing, and kind of working my way into signing to agencies and being able to find out that this is what I want to do has also been, a big step in the process.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I am truly inspired by just listening to you talk about your entire journey and how you got to where you are. And I'm sure there are so many kids and adults likewise that feel the same. So I don't know. Do you have any advice for people out there who are looking to pursue their dreams in these specific fields, modeling, acting, singing, kind of in the arts? Since you're an expert, do you have any advice?
I'm not an expert at all, but I think, as cliche as it sounds, it's my motto has always been to never give up, because it is so easy to give up in a field that you're not seeing progress in. It's something that takes a very, very long time to have a solid standing in and to start getting opportunities. And sometimes months go by where you don't see anything. And you're ultimately working for yourself at that point. You need to make the most of what you have and the time that you have, the platforms that you have, and working for yourself and working to see something that's ultimately not coming can be very, very difficult. And I think that's honestly the best advice that I can give from the position that I've been in, is to not give up and to constantly find new ways to stay creative and be a part of the field that you see yourself in.
Awesome. That is really great advice, and I will definitely keep that in mind.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so that concludes our interview. Pragathi, thank you so much for taking the time to come talk to me. And to some of the viewers, I had a blast talking to her.
Thank you, Adhya. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. And the one thing that I am taking from this interview is, to never give up and pursue your passion.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So that was Pragathi Guruprasad, and signing off is Adhya.